So, Will, we're back once again, recording
We
an
are
episode
back.
of our podcast, Two Idiots Talk to Idiots. That's so redundant. Like, it's kind of a...
It was your idea, man.
we should be able... from the way it's written, you can infer, like, the entendre. But when you say it, it's so hard to convey the meaning.
Yeah.
English sucks, dude. I don't know.
Let's just not say talking to idiots. Let's just say we're idiots.
Two Idiots Talk. That is the name
Two
of the
idiots
podcast.
talk. We're idiots.
I'm your idiot host, Nate.
And I'm your genius host, Will.
For this episode, at least, you read that freaking David Graeber book, 5,000 pages of lending and
5,000
learning.
pages? No. Oh, I didn't finish it. It's a long book, but I haven't finished it yet. The 5,000-year history of debt. Yeah. It's fucking interesting. I highly recommend it to people.
It seems interesting, honestly. To
It's a
start
little expensive though.
to kind of ease
$30,
my.
$40.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta spend money to get knowledge. Money is
Yeah.
power, or knowledge. Power is knowledge. Knowledge.
Money is money and knowledge is knowledge.
No,
and
money is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Power is money. Money is power. Money is time.
Money is time.
Time is power.
Time is power.
These are all the.
Time is racism.
These are the.
Clocks are racist.
These are the infinity stones of society.
And by the end of this podcast, we'll have collected all of them.
Yeah. When we're on episode 99, we'll have them all.
And we'll finally kill all of the idiots.
So I've been trying
So, Nate,
to,
what's your credit score?
My credit score is pretty good. I don't know exactly what it is, but I want to sign up for a credit card, and my girlfriend Sierra is really
Yeah, me too.
apprehensive about it because, we're gonna go into
You kinda need it.
debt.
Well, you use a credit card to pay for random food, groceries, and gas stuff you can already pay for.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that because my credit score is horrible.
So
because I only have school debt.
Yeah. So I procrastinated researching for this episode for a long time. And the reason I started was because I saw a TikTok about how credit cards work and how they're actually terrible for people with low credit. So if you have your credit card and you're spending it at grocery stores and local restaurants to get points, they usually have a fee that you don't incur so that you can use those points in other areas. So basically the credit card companies aren't just making money off of people that incur debt and have interest. They're also making money on all the fees that they collect from the places that you use the credit card so that you can get points. And it was a lot of information packed into 60
You should send that to me. I'm not
TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Because what other way is there for us to gain a credit score? I only have school debt. That's not going to do anything. I literally need a credit card to get anything.
Right. I don't know how my credit score was so good when I was applying for a home loan because I literally just had my car loan and my student loans.
I think car loans are pretty good for gaining credit. I bought a used car, so I don't have a loan and I don't have payments. I just bought it.
Yeah.
So I don't have I think my credit score is 650.
Yeah, but where did you check it? Did
bad.
you check it on Credit Karma? Or Good
Which
Credit
is
or whatever?
Two different. That's another thing I didn't know about is they use a completely different scoring mechanism.
Yeah.
Than lenders use, which is FICO. Yeah, FICO. And Credit Karma uses Vantage Score, which is owned by Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, which I had no idea about.
Credit Karma is owned by all three.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. And they use different fucking algorithms. So that's why you can check your score and it'll be let's say you have really good credit and you've got 820.
Yeah.
And you check your score and you're oh, I have really good credit. Let me apply for a loan. And they deny you. which, by the way, if you didn't know, every lender, if they deny you or even they accept you, has to report to you what your credit score was that they found.
Yeah.
If you want to know.
Yes.
But
For free.
they normally check FICO for free. They normally check FICO, which is a completely different score, uses a completely different algorithm and completely different metrics.
Yeah. And you can't check that yourself
insane.
for free. But we gotta back up. We gotta back up a little bit. Equifax, TransUnion, and what was the last one?
Experian.
They're all private companies.
Private companies,
And
baby.
they don't have, at least from the article I read, they're not really regulated by the government.
The only regulation that I know of is from, what's the name of the act? Where is that? The Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1970, which is when they changed their name. 1970.
That's 100 years after Equifax was founded.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
And Equifax was started as retail credit, and they were so shitty that they changed their name after the Fair Credit Reporting Act, where they had to like actually disclose credit reports. Because before this, you could be like, "What's my file say?" and they would be like, "Fuck you."
So the way,
did not have
since
to tell
they're private companies, the way that they make money is by selling your credit report to companies that lend you money, or banks or whatever. And that's I didn't know that before researching this, and it it was so enlightening, but also frustrating to me that
their motive is just to make money off your data, just like all this data harvesting stuff, not for your shit to be accurate. They don't give a fuck if you got denied
we should get into that later. Because that fucking
we will.
That fucking John Oliver video was I mean, usually they're infuriating, but like this one especially.
And it was 5 years ago too that he made that video, and I've never seen it.
Okay, so anyway, I'm getting ready to apply for a credit card through U.S. Bank because I want to build a new PC, as you probably all know, and they have this good deal going where if you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days of having your credit card, or like you rack up $1,000 of credit, you get $200 back. Oof. I was like, holy shit.
That's nice, but it's still crazy that they're like, hey, I know you just got this credit card. Spend that fucking money.
I mean,
Come
90
on, baby.
days, that's not that long.
$1,000.
That's not that long. You only got 90 days.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think I'm going to use it. I think I'm going to do it because they also have like cash back for paying for streaming services and like a lot of nice perks. But then when I saw that TikTok, I was like, oh shit, how am I going to be hurting people with low credit and like people that don't have good credit and credit cards and the power to use the points, And
wait, you said how you're gonna hurt them?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
how
maybe
would you
not
having a credit card hurt
but
them?
like the very existence of this kind of credit card and like,
Well, you can't be.
I'm just a cog in the machine.
There's a certain point where you gotta like, you're just a cog. There's a certain point where you gotta like, just make your day to day. Like you can't be too overwhelmed with like, because it's just like with politics. You can't be too overwhelmed with like global, desperation, or you're gonna be just an apathetic puddle on a floor. Like,
we are not of one mind. We are of singular. We are all separate. we only hurt each other. Yeah. Anyway, okay. To get back on track, you said your credit score was what, 650?
Yeah, somewhere in the 600s, which is not good.
So how would you build that up?
Just a credit card, I guess. I would have to either buy a new car and make those payments on it, get a credit card, and use it for like my monthly expenses, like everything.
Yeah.
Because that's like the only way. So one of the shitty things about American credit scores, as you well know, as everyone well knows, is they don't take into account things like paying rent and utilities regularly. Even though you'd think that would apply to your trustworthiness as a financial individual, Like,
yeah, but
I pay my rent on time.
Paying your rent is what poor people do. If you have a rent, you're not wealthy enough to own a home. So
yeah, exactly. So I guess one way you could think about it, which sucks because you got to pay fees, is pay all that shit with a credit card because you're going to pay it anyway. Mm-hmm. You do have to pay slightly more, but it'll help you get your utilities and your rent and your gas and your groceries applied to your credit score, I think. I mean, granted, Yeah, I don't know. I've never had a credit card, so I don't know the exact ins and outs, but which is why I have terrible credit. But yeah, it's there's a lot of. It didn't start out that way, I don't think. Well, it started out in even worse ways, honestly. But the fact that they don't take into account all the things that poor people regularly pay, they only take into account things that people with wealth pay, like having a home, having a nice car, taking out big loans for businesses, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so overt, and it's like,
yeah, but they,
yeah, this is designed just like redlining. It's just not, it's not explicit, but it's overt, and it's like effect on poor people and on minorities.
They can't be bothered to keep track of all that data because the way that they make the most money is by doing the bare minimum of reporting and recording.
And
basically.
Yeah.
So if they had to
do the
keep
bare
track
minimum,
of
and then they say, hey, at
and,
least we're doing that.
Yeah.
And then they have what's kind of shitty about the Fair Credit Reporting Act too, is that's what allows us to check our reports. So that's a good thing. However, that's something that's like a fallback almost. It lets these companies go, look, we're regulated. Look, we legally have to like do X, Y, and Z. So we're not bad.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything wrong. Even though they still are like, there are so many horror stories about people being like, hey, some random person's on my report. Why is their debt on my name?
Yeah.
The company then assumes guilt until proven innocence, and they'll audit your entire fucking life.
Yeah.
They will audit your entire life to make sure you didn't live somewhere, that you didn't go by a different alias, that you aren't lying to them. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why? I thought this was America. Why are we assuming somebody's just committing fraud until we can prove?
According to that study that was conducted in 2013 that the John Oliver video mentioned, apparently there are 10 million of those horror stories because 5% of everyone who has a credit score gets fucked over somehow because of poor data recording and upkeep. Because again, that's if they wouldn't make as much money if they had to, actually have integrity.
If they, what can we expect from them? But that's another thing. That FTC report, which, by the way, proves that they didn't really do all that much because they got sent back to the fucking FTC, but is another fallback for them to be like, look, we already got, we had a report done, blah, blah, blah. But that was in 2013. There hasn't been any studies into this lately, so we have no idea if it's any better. We don't know if it's worse. We don't know anything because it's so opaque.
Yeah.
There's no regulation. It's a completely private company. And that kind of goes into some more of the history, too, because the guy who made them, who kind of pushed them into the Fair Credit Reporting Act was this guy named Alan Weston, who reported on their inaccuracies, reported on their opaqueness, reported on the fact that they were delving into people's lives, and they were calculating credit scores based on not only your financial history, but your sex, your race, your national origin, your sexual proclivities, your marital status.
Oh, he uncovered all that stuff?
Everything.
Who is this guy?
I think it was more of an open secret, Alan Weston.
Oh, damn, Alan.
So
get good, Alan. Hell yeah.
Oh, except not get good, Alan, because then after the act of 1970, he got hired.
Dude, okay, yeah, that's the one thing I want to. Okay, yeah.
So
keep going.
He got hired by Equifax, which the label they put on it was, we're going to hire our critic so that we can stay, or so that he can critique us from the inside, which never works. And the FTC thing where they're like, hey, you still suck shit, kind of proves that Alan Weston didn't fucking do anything really.
Yeah.
And the guy who hired Alan Weston was a guy named Jack Rogers, this is another kind of insider shit, an nepotism, whatnot.
This was
Jack
in the
Rogers
70s?
was the CEO. Yeah.
Okay.
Or was it in the 70s? I don't know exactly when Jack Rogers was hired, but this was after 1970.
Okay.
So sometime between 70s and sometime between 75 and 95.
You know what that kind of lines up with?
What?
You remember those graphs of productivity and wages? and how they like kind of stay the same until the 70s, and then they just completely separate.
Dude, if you think about it, it seems like the 70s is when all of these like these nominally regulatory bodies started happening. So like in previous episodes, we've talked about some of it, like with surveillance and whatnot. All of this seems to be happening in the 70s.
What happened?
But in the 70s is when corporatism explodes. And like it's really weird that the regulation happens, but then also all of the like insider trading and all of the fucking lobbying and all of the like secret deals start happening too.
It's really strange.
But it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's weird. We're born so past that. Like we didn't get to live through it. We don't know. Plus,
like we went through America with like we got the Civil Rights Act in like the 60s. And then we were like, oh, things are going to get better. And then in the 70s, they were like, no, it's not. Nope. We're going to pay you so much less.
Bitch, you thought. All right, anyway, sorry. Jack Rogers. Who's this guy?
No, it's fine. I like that tangent. Things just can't be good. We can't have nice things in this fucking country. Jesus Christ. But and one of the things that is like in this vein of this is, so after 1975, after they changed their name to like get away from the old, their old name, Retail Credit, which had a lot of baggage associated with it, and notice that Equifax seems to be mixing equity and facts together to like give it a trustworthy name. It's kind of that sneaky corporate shit. But anyway, so Jack Rogers was the CEO of IBM's General Systems, who like sold like most of Equifax's like computer tech and like shit was from this.
Okay.
And then Equifax then brought Rogers into the board, and then he became CEO. And then he hired Alan Weston. And he did a lot of restructuring of the company that people tend to say is good. But he did things like, hire Alan Weston, which kind of like hid things and was like a Band-Aid and like a fake facade of like being better. But then he also did things like...
Love how the government turned a blind eye to that, by the way. Clearly bribery on like a public stage.
Clearly, yeah. And, well, I mean, they're already bribing the government, so what the fuck do you expect? So
true.
But he did things... He also reworked the like reward system, the internal reward system of Equifax, supposedly to get away from like nepotism and like people getting hired just because they're friends and shit. Yeah. But he added this thing where he rewarded employees based on economic value added. So pretty much employees now are rewarded for how much they give to the company.
What?
What we expect nowadays. This is like
what?
This is like the beginning of when like now companies are like, yeah, you're going to sell your soul to us.
Work 12-hour days.
This is going to like, you need to give us capital or you get nothing.
Right.
Yeah, it just... I don't like Jack Rogers and I don't like Alan Weston. And they didn't seem to change anything because they still, like we said, the FTC reports 5% of people's reports have inaccuracies that lead to bad things. And
and you can't really do anything about those bad things.
Fighting. Yeah, because you have to fight in the courts.
Because, okay, so all of the articles that I read are like, people don't know shit about this and don't know how to go about it, especially if they get fucked over. And most of them also said credit bureaus are under no legal requirement to be accurate.
Yeah.
How is that possible? How is that possible? There's
it's because it's according to the government, it's not like it's supposedly not that important, even though we all know credit scores are so important to daily life.
Yeah.
And like getting ahead. It's not like
capitalism.
Water. It's not like a right to have.
Yeah.
So they don't give a shit.
In a system that is capitalist and everything runs off of money, in order to get a loan and buy anything, you have to have a good credit. And if you can't know how to fix your credit, especially if you get fucked over, because credit bureaus aren't required to be accurate, how the fuck... Also, the fucking John Oliver video was like... Some companies will reject you if your credit is bad. Like if you want to work there to get money.
Yeah, some companies
to build your credit.
Actually You can, like how? Oh my God! Yeah, just like in the video, like you said, some companies to hire you check your credit score, but then like in like I don't know if it was a congressional hearing or if it was like a state hearing or something, but like the woman representative asked the guy like, is there any correlation between somebody's credit score and their performance at a job? And he went, no, statistically no, but we think it matters. We think it's just,
yeah.
It's just, this is the profit motive. They want to sell it to everybody they fucking can.
Yeah, there was a comment from 5 years ago on the video that said, I have a lot of debt and I need a job to pay it off. Sorry, you can't have a job here because you have so much debt. Yeah, hey.
It's just another fucking method to keep poor people poor.
Yeah.
It's just, as we all know, it's like when you're poor, you have a crisis, you lose all of your backup money if you had any to begin with. That makes you unable to pay your payments on loans or your car payment or your utilities, which, don't you love that if you fail to pay your utilities, that negatively affects your credit score? But if you pay your utilities, it doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
And that kills their credit. So now they can't take a loan out to buy a car to get them to that new job that pays slightly better.
Oh my God. We hate ourselves, Will. Humans hate ourselves. Humans just... We just make everything so difficult. The other thing an article said that was crazy was like most people have wealth, I guess you could say in a general term, because of like their previous generation's home ownerships. Like if your father or grandfather or whatever, grandmother, whatever, your mom had a home and they like pass on.
Your grandfather was given a home by the government.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you get wealth. But like, that's just another way that black and colored people have been disproportionately. You know what? This all just comes back to reparations. Like,
I mean, yes, it does. It literally does.
Like, the people that are against reparations just need to look at this, because like, if you know and agree that your wealth most likely comes from previous generations having owned a home and, you know, passing it along and passing on that home equity and home wealth, there was so much racism in the home lending business and redlining and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You are 0% likely, if you're black in America, to have that same amount of wealth just from generational accruement or acquisition. What is the word? Yeah. So like, how
like
the fuck?
It's the
you're starting at negative.
Like the homes,
you're starting in the negative.
They're literally starting at negative. We can kind of like rehash real quick. It's been talked about a lot, so I'm sure you've heard of the Monopoly analogy, where like you're playing Monopoly, and for 400 rounds, you're like, black people, you're not allowed to play. Mm-hmm. Not only are you not allowed to play, you need to play for us. Yeah. You make us money. Then for 50 years, you're like, okay, you can play, but every time you start to succeed a little bit, we're going to literally bomb you. We're going to drop C4 trench busters on you.
Simple.
And then after that, they switch to, okay, now you can play and you're allowed to accrue wealth, but we're not going to help you at all. You need to start from the beginning, even though we've been playing for 500 years, and we're still going to secretly kind of like under the rug fuck with you. It's better put in other places. I didn't want to get too into the trenches with that analogy, but it's so true, especially with this, because you had redlining, you had like in person, like you didn't have a credit score for a while, like so it was more you go to the lender, and it's just a face-to-face interaction, and if they're racist, they don't give black people loans.
Yeah, credit scores didn't even really start until like the late 1800s. I saw. Yeah. So like before that, it was kind of just like a merit system within communities. Yeah. In the U.S. at least.
It was a local. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's wild. And also, just a tangent, I might edit this out, but Monopoly, the game, was originally invented. You probably know this. To show
as a critique.
To show how bad capitalism was.
Yeah.
And you won once everyone won. Once everyone was well off and like had their needs met, that's how you won the game of Monopoly.
Yeah,
And then
it's like everybody plays it to like literally monopolize, and the point of it was like, hey, be nice to each other.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Here was a very neo-libbed pill take from someone who was being interviewed by
Globe-pilled.
Forbes. What?
I said globe-pilled.
Yeah, that's the Twitter term. I'm not saying we need to eliminate private credit scoring companies, but I think it's a win if you create a competitive environment with consumers by having that public option available. It's like
I
UPS.
mean, granted, a public option would be better,
Yeah.
but like that's
But
not
if you have
what
it
we
in
should be.
tandem, it just doesn't do anything. It's like USPS
See,
and
that's
FedEx.
that's the
He says, I have the choice
Right.
to go with a cheaper public mail carrier or get special services from a place like FedEx. We create a public entity
Yeah.
for something like the post, but not something as monumental as your credit score. But dude, you just proved yourself wrong. Like why would these private companies have any incentive to compete with a public option? They don't.
yeah.
They have zero.
Also, what does it even mean to have a public option for credit scores? It's just a database.
Right.
Like, it's a database that you can do one of two things with: make money, or simply be accurate.
Yeah.
That's the two options. So maybe we should do, if we're gonna have credit scores at all, just nationalize the database and take away the profit motive.
Yep.
There's no point to having a profit motive for that. There's literally none.
Yeah. Plus, like in later articles, it was like, why? Okay, so like in Good Karma or Credit RX or what is it?
Credit
Karma.
Karma.
Pff, fuck me, dude. In Credit Karma, you get a score for free. You don't have to pay for it, and it doesn't adversely affect your
Yeah.
credit. And yeah, the CEO was like, yeah, you should never have to pay to get your credit score. The FICO score is stupid, but we can't guarantee that our credit score is going to be the same as anything that the lender uses. So then, like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
the point of getting your credit score for free?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that would happen with a public option. Like, you have no
Exactly.
idea.
That is literally a public option. It's the same thing.
Yeah. you have no idea if your
Oh my
lender is
God.
going to choose the credit score that you're looking at, which would probably...
The only way is to force companies to use a single national database.
Yeah.
That's the literal only way. That's why I guess we can use this to talk a little bit about other countries. No country does this perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah, they all sucked. I read that. I
Other countries
read
do
that
it
whole
better.
article.
Like, England is like the slightly better version of America where they have credit scores. It's the same companies in England because, you know, Jack Rogers also expanded into the international market and he got England roped in, the UK. But England does it slightly different. Just registering to vote. My chair might be squeaking, so I apologize.
Mine
if
is
you
too.
hear
I
that.
don't care.
But
It adds to the ambiance.
just registering, yeah, right. We're real. But just registering to vote raises your credit score
Yeah.
in England. Like they realized that not everything is about financial history, and we should also like connect it to like things everyone can do. But then slightly better countries like the Netherlands and Spain.
Oh, yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's slightly better.
Spain was cool.
Only track negative marks, and they don't have a score. So it's like you go in to a lender, they don't see a score, they just see, oh, this person has 5 loans out that they're not paying on. Ooh, they're a little risky. And the all negative marks leave after, I think Netherlands
Like 2
is like
years or 5 years?
4 or 5
Yeah.
years. And Spain's like 6, which is the same as the U.S. The U.S. negative marks on your records also get expunged after like around that same period of time. So it's another slightly better system. But then my favorite, or no, there's 3 more I want to talk about. France, that only looks at 3 months of income and bank
Yeah,
statements,
there
just
is
to be
no
like,
credit
can
score.
you pay for
You
this?
have to do all the data
Yeah.
collecting yourself. You need to show us
Yeah.
how long you've been employed, how much money you've made, if you're married or not, if you have a home, how much
Yeah.
shit you own. And you have to collect all this yourself and then come to us if you want a loan.
Yeah, but not only that, all they care about is less about the trustworthiness, but more like, can you just simply pay for this? Like, we just want to make sure that you literally have the means to pay your monthly payments, which again, another slightly better system. My favorite is Germany.
I loved this.
Yeah, not perfect.
I
But
loved Germany's. I was like, what the
It's so
absolute shit?
much better. So they score 0 to 100. But guess what? Instead of the U.S., where you start at nothing and you have to grind your way up, they start everyone out at 100. And then after that, your history, depending on what you do, lowers your score. And you only have to stay above 90 to be in good standing. And things like rent and utilities make it better. Like, it helps. Far superior.
Yeah. Like, what happens to really old people that have a super long credit history? Like, is their score just like perpetually in the 70s or 80s just because they've had so many transactions?
Well, no, it's not that your score goes down with everything you do.
Oh, okay.
It's just that you start at 100. Nobody has 100. But you start at 100, and everything you do after that lowers it if it's bad and raises it if it's good. But you can't. Okay. I don't think you can have like a perfect score.
All right.
So it's just like a normal grading scale.
Right,
like a 90 to 100 is an A.
Yeah. I loved how anti-China that
China.
article was. Yeah. They're just like, wow, China might be doing this thing that's fucking awful. Just watch out. It's like,
China's like, because China, has a nationalized bank, but they have privatized like financial credit systems. But they're working towards nationalizing their credit system.
Yeah. They like changed their mind.
In the same way they do their social credit system. Yeah. So that's terrifying because that is like what America used to do, where it's like your sexual life, your personal life, who you interact with, what you talk about, all affects your
where you smoke
score.
and drink and whatever.
Another reason why China is
scary,
not the perfect utopia that some leftists think.
Scary.
Anyway, so
yeah. What else? Okay. Yeah, I have some other.
No,
stuff.
pretty much just like it's like a lot of people will be like, oh, what's the fucking alternative? Literally just nationalize it, decommodify it, take away the profit motive, make it a one singular database that everybody has to reference, and all of your financial stuff like rent and utilities like helps and affects it.
Yeah.
Like, and also depersonalize loan lending. The only thing lenders should be able to see is your financial history, not your name, not where you live, nothing. So that redlining doesn't fucking happen.
I know this would be a crazy concept under capitalism, but just like take away the profit motive. Duh.
Yeah.
Fucking.
We already did that with other industries. Like water. We took away the profit. I mean, we still have to pay for it, but we gave a monopoly to a certain company specifically so we wouldn't have like a company purely motivated by profit and defeating other companies. We could do better than that, but like, yeah, just not everything needs to be profit based. Like, it just doesn't need to be.
And like, we kind of really glossed over the purpose of credit. Hopefully, you kind of know that it's inevitable in a money-based economy. Like, if you are spending tokens in order to exchange goods and services, you kind of have to have a way to keep track of that whole process.
Yeah, in such a globalized world where everybody's connected to like people far away, you can't have like a local, personal, mental credit system.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just doesn't work.
Now, granted, we are saying that a credit system of some sort is necessary in a market-based capitalist society, but we're also against a market-based capitalist society.
This is a weird episode.
We don't want that either
for that reason.
Yeah.
So
it's like if we're gonna have a market-based capitalist society and we're gonna have a credit, if we're gonna have those two things, we might as well nationalize it and decommodify it.
And then wasn't there that huge hack that Equifax got hacked? Yeah. And
a lot of data was lost and people were getting their identity stolen and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here was the thing. Here's some statistics, like I said, about that support reparations. Eliminating disparities between black and white consumers could have added $2.7 trillion in income to the GDP per year. Expanding housing credit availability to black owners and borrowers would have expanded black homeownership by an additional 770,000, increasing home sales by $218 billion, and giving black entrepreneurs access to fair and equitable access that's kind of redundant, to business loans could have added $13 trillion in business revenue and potentially created 6.1 million jobs per year. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Who knew? Who knew it would be so easy to just make things better?
Oh, yeah, reparations doesn't mean handing a fucking check out. It means creating a system that helps disenfranchised communities. Because all of this, as fucking everything does apparently, is part of gentrification. Just like redlining, credit scores, like, and being credit invisible like a lot of poor minorities are, means that they don't have access to the same type of loans that white business owners have when they move into black communities and start gentrifying them. So black people don't rise with the tide. They're sinking under the weight of racist policies.
Yeah, and that one CNBC video, or was it that PBS? Ooh, probably could hear that in my mic. Yeah, there was a white home buyer who had been unemployed and like her credit probably wasn't that good. And like she was approved for a loan in a black community.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a homeowner who was black in that same community who was trying to get an equity loan so that she can improve her property, and she fucking got denied when she had already lived
because these stupid fucking liberals make policies that are like, oh great, we want to take poor areas and we want to bring wealth into them. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a policy that says that banks with locations in certain communities have to give low-interest loans in those communities. But guess what they didn't fucking do? They didn't specify who they should be giving them to. So these banks are preferentially giving them to white business owners and not the black locals.
Yeah.
So it's like these stupid fucking liberal policies that they think are helping aren't doing anything and are actually probably making things worse. Yeah. Like you need to be cognizant of exploitation of these policies. Like you can't just fucking slap a policy on something and be like, all right, that's good, that's all right, that's gonna work. Holy shit, man. It's another episode of us complaining.
It's okay. Yeah, I don't know. What is this, just the Two Idiots Complain podcast now? We're not even talking anymore. We're just complaining about how much shit sucks. Credit reports, honestly, suck.
It's so hard not to make episodes complaining about this shit. I feel like we moved away from like the original
Yeah, we need to go back to like
we were doing like
stuff,
history and conspiracy stuff, and now we're just complaining about politics, which, hey, I do that anyway, so I like talking about it on a podcast. Next episode's going to be
Skinwalker Ranch. You know what? No.
Ooh, actually, I'm down. But
I had an idea. If you would be... Actually, let's wrap this up first.
Pretty much, I guess a good summary is like, credit scores are a symptom of racist capitalist policies, and all of the regulation we have around them haven't solved anything.
Jack shit. Completely jack shit. Is there even regulation?
It's just another system to keep poor people poor. Yep. There's a little bit, but...
Keeping poor people poor is what capitalists does best. That's how you make the monies. It's how you make all the
Gotta have a class of people you exploit, so...
I'm curious. I wish we could have like more open dialogue with our audience, because I don't know. I want to know what other people think about this topic specifically. Like, all the past episodes, fuck you. I don't care. I don't give a shit what you think. But, like, this is so integral to life in America. And I guess the world isn't. Like, you have a credit score just attached to your head forever. And like,
little floating icon above you, whether you're trustworthy or not. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, like, you're definitely less affected if you're rich already. And, like, don't.
Yeah, because if you're rich, you can pay for the FICO score, the fucking $20 to $40 per month, which blows my mind that they have different packages for tracking your credit score and fraud. Like, you pay more to see more, whereas if you don't pay, you don't see it, it fucks your entire life over. And rich people can also, leverage companies easier because they're like, we're really rich, and we can give you money to take this off my report. It's, like, easy for them. It's just important shit to talk about, which I agree. I want more dialogue because...
Yeah.
It's...
Tweet at us, buddies.
Oh, I didn't hear that for a second.
Tweet at us, you idiots. Tell us what you think I want to know. I really do. That's like a
No, yeah,
genuine
like
thing.
tweet at us because it's important, and apathy is a privilege, and people need to fucking talk about this.
Yeah.
Shit. It's
Yeah. Amen to that.
you can't just ignore politics. It's too important. People are literally
Yeah.
dying.
Because of income inequality and having bad credit.
Yeah.
I guess is a good note to end on.
Amongst a million other things. Yeah.
All right, we've been
All right.
idiots talking to idiots. Haha. See what I did there? Take it easy.
Bye. Oh, what an outro.